Hey everyone, so I want to talk real quick about all of the insane buffs that both Imaginary and Quantum are going to be getting very, 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 very soon, or at least sooner rather than later. Now, a lot of this stuff is we're not exactly sure when it's going to drop. Maybe there's some stuff leaked, but I'm not going to be going over leaked information here, mainly because I'd have to actually look into it myself, make sure how legit it is, and decide if I really want to share it, stuff like that. But I understand people aren't all interested in that, so we're not going to be talking about any leaked stuff here. We're just going to be talking about the Honkai Star Rail Twitter themselves released info of just a couple days ago, and it is pretty awesome actually, because it's about of course new characters and huge massive buffs. Now I hinted this a little bit in my top 10 tier list top 10 slash tier list video I just did the other day, but I didn't really go over it because I wanted to rate those characters how everything is now, not how they're going to be. But there are some big huge spectacular buffs coming for both Imaginary and Quantum, to the point where those two are probably going to be the best teams. A Mono Imaginary and Mono Quantum are probably some of the best teams that you could run in the game. Now, I'll just be looking at three of the things that they shared on Twitter, which you could also follow me on Twitter, by the way. I tweet about stuff sometimes. Never about Honkai stuff. I try to keep that a little bit separate for the channel. So, if you want to see any other things I'm interested in, you could go there. Now we're gonna start on the imaginary side because there's less to talk about, and I also think this team isn't gonna be as good as the quantum one. But for imaginary, some point sooner rather than later, if they're already showing it now, they are planning on releasing this Inhibitor Lunae. I thought it was Inhibitor Lunae. Honestly, when I read it for the first time, it's Inhibitor Lunae. That's quite a name. I thought it was Inhibitor. I'm gonna be that didn't really make sense to me either. But all right. But this is gonna be a 5-star imaginary destruction character who looks very familiar. We'll just say that looks very familiar for sure. Um, this is a really big deal because all of a sudden we have a ton of imaginary characters that are coming out slash out. For a while, for most of the game so far, we've had only one, and that being Welt, who is not someone who is easy to pull by any means. Then all of a sudden, with this latest banner for Locha, we got Locha and we got Yukong, right? Two, varying how good they are. Locha is insane. Yukong, I'm rather disappointed in, but still, it's a nice start. Now we got this character coming out here, which means we will have 4 imaginary characters. But the question is it actually worth running a mono imaginary team, and is that even possible? Well, obviously it's possible. How good is it? And I think it's actually going to end up being pretty good because Well is an insane damage dealer, debuffer type character. This is going to be a destruction character, so they're going to be, you know, they're not going to be they're going to be tanky, but they're not going to be like insane like preservation characters are. They're not going to have damage mitigation. They're going to have good damage, but not to like the same level as the characters from the hunt. But they'll be able to do good DPS on single target and many characters or enemies. I mean, so that means damage is pretty taken care of. But Yukong herself is a buffer, not a very good one, but buffs in general, and actually puts out some pretty decent attacks themselves. And as a part of their traits, they have a support for imaginary characters to deal additional imaginary damage for just the whole party, which is insane. And then of course you have Locha, who will probably be dealing, pretty much tied for the least amount of damage on the team, but deals way more damage than he needs to, while also being able to make sure everyone survives to an insane degree. He's so good with his survivability. Which means if you have an enemy who is weak to imaginary, you can just pile a full mono imaginary team and you will wipe them off the face of the planet incredibly easily. I'll say with probably no effort at all, which is good. But of course, the enemy does have to be weak to imaginary. That's how it's going to be with a lot of these mono teams if you ever decide to run them, is that they will only be good against enemies who are actually weak to them. You need to make sure you're doing the weakness breaking and, stuff like that if you want to succeed in this game. So mono teams aren't going to look that great. Except for Quantum. And that is because of one character, Silverwolf, who had just come out before Locha, who hopefully you have, because her stocks are coming so high up. They are going to shoot up to the top. On my tier list, I believe I had her at 5th, and that is just looking at her, maybe 5 or 6. That's just looking at her in a vacuum, and of course ignoring all the new stuff that's going to come out. But she is going to be insane. She's going to be the crux of what makes a mono team work, which we'll get into in a second. So we got an Invitator Lune, interesting character to release, but it will make it possible to actually run Mono Imaginary and have it be good. It'll be very damage focused, and it will raise up the stocks of all those other imaginary characters. The big deal here are these two characters here. We'll go over the 4-star one first, which is Lynx, who is actually a part of the Landau family, which Jeopard and Serval are a part of. But she's a 4-star Abundance Quantum character, which of course Abundance are healing characters. And now here's the thing with Mono Quantum, right? With every single, you're running a Mono team, you want them to be able to serve different roles. And, you have Zila, who I still think is the best character in the game and still will definitely be once more of these Quantum characters come out, just because her damage is so insane. She's easy to use. Her damage is insane, right? You got to say that twice because she is insane. But you have her and you have Silverwolf, and then you have the Jade Tile lady. I can never remember what her name is. Or she's also a damage dealer, and she sucks. I hate her. She's one of my least favorite characters as far as using in gameplay in the game, that's for sure. But one thing you needed was some way to stay alive and some way to be tanky. And what do you know? We have our Abundance character here who will be able to heal in some way, and then we also have our Preservation character who will be able to do tanky or damage mitigation in some way. So this is the crazy part. This is where you're like, okay, the mono team for this is going to be pretty crazy. And in case you forgot about Silverwolf, for some reason, maybe you're just not thinking about it, maybe you haven't actually looked through her kit before, she is going to make Mono Quantum the best team in the entire game by far, to the point where you can run them in any mission, any difficult content ever. I guess I don't know about ever, but for sure for a very, very long time. Why? Because her skill will allow you to add a weakness onto an enemy. In case you aren't sure exactly how it works, so use her skill on it's a single target skill on a single enemy, and it has a base percent chance that is quite high to add a new weakness onto the enemy's, pre-existing weaknesses. Now, the way the weakness that is added on is decided is based on your team. It will add on a weakness that is, that it has to be one of the typing on your team. So if you have 4 different typings on your team, let's see, you got Silverwolf herself, Quantum, you got the Fire Trailblazer, you got Locha with Imaginary, and then you have, March 7th with Ice, right? You're battling against the enemy, and they're only weak to Quantum. You use your weakness, you use your thing that adds a weakness on it, then you have you have the base chance, that goes through, then you have a complete 1 out of 3, it's even chance for the rest of the characters to add a new weakness on there. So if your entire team is one typing, and you get the chance to do the weakness, which is high, it's like 80%, then it will be guaranteed to be weak to Quantum. So Silverwolf guarantees the enemies will be weak to your entire team. You're a mono team that has insane survivability and absolutely insane damage. That is good. That is beyond good. That is insanity. It will easily become the greatest team in the entire game, and it's going to be sooner rather than later. So if you were like me, and you're missing one of those 2 characters, I have Silverwolf. I don't have Zila, because I started playing the game right when the game came out, but I didn't get very far. I wasn't playing it a super huge amount, and then Tears of the Kingdom came out, and all my time was put towards that, and I ended up coming back partway through Silverwolf's banner, and that's also when I started making content on the game, which wasn't really all that long ago. But I missed out on Zila, and I missed out on Jingyun. Second one, I shouldn't say I really missed out, but I missed out on Zila, which really sucks. So she's definitely someone I'm going to be going after when she comes back here. But you are going to want to pull for Lynx here, who is like the youngest of the whatever. As if people say, Quantum users are living life right now. Very true. And then of course, Fu Xuan here, who is also excellent. I assume she's going to be Preservation. So they're just giving everything you need. They're just setting you up so high. They are deciding to just do everything that is necessary to help you out for a Quantum team. So basically what I'm trying to say is be on the lookout. I would say, honestly, save your Jade past these other 2. We already know 2 characters have been coming out. Blade and Kafka are coming out. Kafka is a fan favorite character. I'm pretty sure people are obsessed with her, so I'm sure a lot of people will probably want to pull on her. But she's a very inflated typing. There are tons of lightning types out there, I think it's the most used typing in the game right now. And then Blade is a wind destruction. He'll probably be pretty decent, I'm sure. And he's one of a cool. He's a cool looking. I mean, I think he looks cool, but he's like a cool looking swordsman character. So I'm sure a lot of people are gonna be obsessed with him as well. But I would say, if you have either Zila or Silverwolf, honestly, even if you don't have either of them, I would save your Jade. Once once these characters come out, pull on them, pull on Silverwolf and Zila when they come back inevitably, because you will have such an insane team that you'll be able to survive with, you'll be able to do damage with, you'll be able to guarantee the weakness, so you'll be able to do it against any content in the game. Alright, this video is pretty much just me rambling about the insanity of how far this game is going to go to push Quantum on us. And I guess I really just want to bring that to your attention and tell you, hey, summon on these Quantum characters, because it will be far, far, far beyond super insanely worth it. And with that, I'll see you all next time.